Hey you guys, it's Sarah here and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you an Easter themed activity page that I've been working on. I know Easter is still like a month and a half away, but I wanted to show you guys a He is Risen resurrection themed Mary visiting the tomb to find the tomb empty, and then Jesus appears to her. So I wanted to do a busy book that was that theme for Easter. And it's really cute. This will be part of my Bible story themed activity pages that I'm doing, and all the templates will be free. So I'll share the printable PDF version of this one on my website. So if you want to just print and cut out all the pieces and put it together, you can totally do that. That'll be on my website. And then I'll also have the JPEG and SVG files available for this one on my Patreon. I think you just have to sign up as a free member, so you don't have to pay anything, but then you can save and download the JPEGs or the SVGs to a cutting machine if you are like me and you have a cutting machine and you use those to make these busy books. And I love how the page turned out. It's really simple, but it's really cute. The tomb door opens and Jesus can actually fit inside the tomb. And then when Mary comes out, I love how she turned out too. She's so sweet, and she kind of just looks so like, she was crying, but she's so happy to see him, and kneeling on the ground, and I love that. So that is what the page is, and that's what the Jesus looks like. I think that they both just look so sweet, and I'm so excited for kids to play with this one. I think it just turned out so cute. Another little feature too is I left the top of the page open so that it acts for storage. So you got quick and easy cleanup. You can just put any detachable pieces in the top of the page. Okay, so if you like this, check out this video. I'll show you how I put together. Don't forget to check out the free templates, and make sure also, if you haven't already checked out the free templates for my other Bible story themed activity pages, they're on my website, they're on Patreon, and then there's videos that go along with them as well here on YouTube. And there's going to be more coming as well. Just please be patient with me. It takes me some time, but I want to do all the prophets, all the main stories, the Bible stories that we know. And so that's going to take me some time, but stay tuned and I'll be slowly but surely adding to those. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Always, I am beginning with an 8" by 8" light blue 1.2 millimeter stiff Korean felt. I have this felt available on my website if you're interested in it. It's the same type of felt that I'm using for all of the pieces that make this page. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 gray circles that you see in the template. I'm going to add just a little bit of hot glue into the center just to help keep it in place, maybe give it a little bit of structure, but I'm going to sew around that border. Now that I've got that done, the next thing is I'm going to grab the other gray piece, which is going to create the tomb, and I'm just going to place the circle over top, and I'm just going to put a small stitch right at the side there so that kids can open and close the tomb door, so to speak, or that stone. So I'm just going to sew right at the side there, not sewing down the page, just sewing right to the gray piece itself. Okay, that's what that looks like with that piece sewn on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the background black piece of felt, and I'm going to place it right at the corner of my 8" by 8" page. And I actually had to trim the end of this off because my page itself is just ever so slightly smaller than 8 inches, but it's meant to all fit on an 8" page. And I'm going to put that all down. I'm going to use some clips just to clip it in place for now. And then I'm also going to grab these 2 little green bushes. I'm going to clip them right at the bottom as well. Again, I'm not going to bother sewing them down right now, because at the end of this video, you'll see when I sew around the border and I attach the back side of the page, I'll be going around the border anyways, so there's no point in sewing it down at the bottom and the sides right now, because I'm going to go around the whole border later anyways. Right now, I'm just going to stitch with the gray piece layered over the black piece. I'm just going to stitch all along the top there. I might have to lift the door to get that stitched down, but I'll just stitch all along the top and leave the sides and the bottom for now. The next thing I wanted to do is not something that is actually included in the template, but I always have these little 4 cm circles. I use them in a lot of my activity pages, and I just have them in all sorts of colors all the time. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my scalloped edge fabric scissors here and a scrap piece of orange fabric, and I'm just going to trim around to create a little sun that I can put in the corner. And then I also have all of these assorted ribbons, and I grabbed some ones that are a golden color and orangey and yellow. I'm just going to grab a few pieces, and I'm thinking of trying to sew them in behind the sun so that there's little ribbon tags poking out from the sun. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing or if it's going to fit nicely yet, but I'm going to try that. I'll sew down the orange part with simultaneously sewing the ribbons down as well. And then I'll just hot glue the yellow piece over top because I want something to put in that corner. Alrighty, I've got that sewn down, and I'm just going to use some hot glue to attach the yellow piece. You could sew the yellow piece down as well if you wanted to. But there is the sun, and then I'm going to grab the piece, the two white outlines for Jesus, and I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue right down the center, and I'm going to put those two layers together. That hot glue will just help keep them in place when I'm sewing around the border. You could also just use strictly hot glue for this if you wanted to. There's two hands. I'm just going to tuck them in between the front and the back two layers, and his hands are kind of in this position with his thumbs out, so he's showing his hands. And then I'm going to tuck the feet in between the front and back layer as well. And once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and sew around the border. Okay, that's done for now, and I'm going to do the same type of thing with Mary. I have a smaller set of hands for her, and I'm just going to tuck one of those hands in between that front and back layer at the sleeve. And I'm going to, again, just use a little bit of hot glue just to help keep the two pieces together. I'm not going to apply any hot glue near the border because that's where I will be stitching. And yeah, again, you could just use entirely hot glue for these if you wanted to. But I'm going to sew around the border and tuck that hand inside the sleeve there. Alrighty, those are now sewn together, so the pieces are nice and stiff and structured. And the last little bit that I'm going to do is just sewing on the details of Mary and Jesus. So I have this brown piece that's going to be for the hair and the beard. So I'll just line that up, and I will apply some hot glue and put that on. And then for the details of Jesus' face, I just have this peach colored, skin colored piece and two white circles and two black circles that I'll hot glue in place, and a smile that's all included in the template. And then I also just by hand cut out this red sash that I wanted to add, and I'm just going to hot glue that across his body. And then for Mary, again, I have a piece for the face, and again, two white circles and two black circles, the exact same size as these ones. So in the template, it doesn't matter which one is which. And then we have her headpiece that I'm just going to hot glue down as well. And another hand that I'm going to maybe just put here so that it looks like she's reaching out to the Savior. Maybe she's touching her heart. So I'm going to hot glue that down about there as well. Okay, so that's Mary and Jesus. And then I'm going to take a pen and just draw little dots to represent the nail prints in the Savior's hands and feet. And I love too how Mary and Jesus' hand look like they could be touching. We know that he tells her not to touch him, but I love that she's so happy to see him. And I'm just going to use this blue fabric marker to kind of draw on her arm, just kind of the elbow of her arm. It's not really necessary to draw that on, but sometimes I just want to draw on that detail just to make it clear that that's her arm there. And then I'll draw some lashes on her as well, on the eyes. If I can get my pens to work, which it appears that they are not working. And then maybe just a little nose as well on Mary's face. And some pink rosy cheeks. I'm going to draw on some eyebrows as well. You can see I drew them on, and I'm going to draw on like a couple little tears as well, so that you can tell she was upset, and now she is so happy now that she knows that Jesus has risen and the tomb is empty. So that is what they look like. And let's get back to the page itself. The page itself is pretty much done. I do have these two pink flowers that are part of the template, and then I just cut these little yellow centers out by hand. I'll hot glue on the yellow centers, and then I'll find a spot on the page to hot glue the flowers as well. But first I'm going to go ahead and get the page all sewn together. I don't have any fabric that matches the theme of this page. I don't even really have any springtime fabric, but that's okay. I have just a kind of a neutral fabric that I use sometimes for my pages. So I'm going to grab another 8" by 8" sheet of felt. And for this back side of the felt, I'm just using a lower quality stiff felt that I get off of Amazon. It's only 1 millimeter thick. and I like to use it because it is lower in cost than the Korean felt. And so I just like to use it for the back sides of the pages because I'm 9 times out of 10 I wrap them in fabric anyways. So if you're new to my channel, this is how I make my pages. I always just make them single-sided, and I'm going to clip that at the corners, and I will grab another, I will grab a binding piece, which is just a 2 or 3 millimeter thick piece of felt. Here's the colors that I have cut out already. I just cut them out by hand with my scalloped edge scissors. So I usually use red for my binding pieces just because I find it looks nice with all the pages. So I can use red. Let's see what the blue and the green look like. Okay, I'm going to go with the green. Normally I always choose red. I don't usually choose green, but in this case I'm going to go with the green binding piece. So I'm just going to insert it between the front and the back layer on the left hand side. And I'm going to go ahead and sew around the whole border. And this is where I will also be simultaneously sewing down the bottom part of this gray piece and the green bushes here. And just be careful not to sew down the tombstone door. I'll have to move that out of the way when I sew. Actually, because this page has some detachable pieces, sometimes what I do is I'm going to just go ahead and stitch this top piece of fabric down. And when I sew around the border, I'm going to leave a section of the top of the page open. That way it can act as a storage pocket for the detachable pieces. Even though Jesus does fit inside the tomb, it's going to be easier and quicker when kids are playing with it and putting the pieces away to just slide them inside the pocket of the page. So that's what I'm going to do in this case. I'm going to sew the fabric down, and then I'll go ahead and sew around the border, leaving this top part open. Okay, so you can see that it's all sewn on now, and the top part of the page is open, so that will act as a storage pocket. I'm just going to grab my heavy duty hole punch, and I will put 2 holes in the binding piece of this page, and that way I can connect it to my other Bible themed story activity pages. And then I also still just need to hot glue on the flowers, so I'm just going to hot glue them on maybe right over here on this bush. And if you don't sew, don't be intimidated, because you could totally make this whole page with just hot glue as well. Basically, wherever you saw me stitch, you could just replace that with hot glue. I prefer to do mostly sewing, but I use a lot of hot glue. It works incredibly well with felt fabric. The only thing you're going to want to check maybe is just the ribbons, that it will adhere to the ribbons that you're using if you do decide to include that aspect of the page. But yeah, that completes the page, and you can see that Jesus does fit inside the tomb, so little kids can open that door and bring him out. And there's Mary outside the tomb. She looks in, she sees that it's empty, and she sees the Savior. So I can now add this to my collection of other Bible themed activity pages. I have a Jonah and the Whale, a nativity set. There's Jonah and the Whale. If you haven't seen my video on that one yet, go check it out. All the templates for these are free. Here's my Noah's Ark activity page with little lift the flaps, and you can find the matching animals behind the flaps. So they're all really cute. And please be patient with me. I have so many more coming. I want to do like all the prophets, all the most popular stories, the Bible stories, but it's going to take me a while. I'm working on these for both my own child I'm expecting and due in May, and then I'm also working on these just to kind of donate to my church and have them at something at the church that all the kids can play with, maybe because I know it's hard to keep kids quiet during church time, and so if they had a little quiet book with Bible themed stories, I think that would be so cute. Okay, thanks so much you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.